A bank built in 1891 by a group of Cuban merchants who didn't trust the local bankers, probably with real good reason. The balcony on the side, carved by one man of mahogany. It took him 5 years to carve it. And 20 occupants they lived in the position there against the side of the bank building. The street that we are on right now is Duval Street, named in honor of William Coate Duval, the very first elected governor of the state of Florida. We did manage to get that man elected governor before we started having some pretty big adventures with the whole electoral process in this state. And when we come up to the intersection, if you look over to the right, you'll see Captain Tony's Saloon. That was the original home of Sloppy Joe's Bar. And Sloppy Joe's Bar is now located here on our left. Joe Russell was a great friend of Ernest Hemingway. They spent a lot of time together. When Hemingway died in 1960, they went through the box of stuff in the back room of the bar, discovered the unpublished manuscript of Islands in the Stream, and all sorts of other stuff. This was a residential area at one time. A lot of beautiful homes up and down the street. Over here on the left, you see Fogarty's. That was the home of John Fogarty, the mayor of the city of Key West. When the railroad came into town back in 1912, he had a big party there for all the railroad people, and that party is still going on. You know, there's some really nice houses ahead of us in the next block. And there's a real particularly nice brick house up here. And brick, not a very common building material because of its great weight. It was difficult to transport it by ship. And this one belonged to the president of the telegraph company, later served as a library, and now houses the women's club. Here on our right is the oldest house on the island of Key West, built in 1829. Look at the dormer windows on top, every single one of them with a totally different size. This is the home of Captain Francis Watlington, a harbor pilot and wrecker here on the island. His daughters, he and his wife Emmeline, were the parents of 9 daughters. They were educated here on our right at Baldwin House. And Baldwin House was a school, private school. Across the street, another nice view of St. Paul's. If you have an opportunity to go in there, make sure you do look up so that you can see the vaulted ceiling. Looks like the hull of a ship. And just past St. Paul's, also on the left, is Key West Aloe. They make skincare products out of natural ingredients. And they have been around the island in various locations for many, many years. Here on our right is the tallest building in Old Town Key West, the La Concha Hotel, built in 1926, 7 stories into the stratosphere. Tennessee Williams stayed there for about a year when he was working on a rewrite of a streetcar named Desire. Ahead of us on our right is Margaritaville, good place to go, get your attitude all adjusted. And also on our right is San Carlos Institute, built in 1924, modeled after Havana City Hall. It was the home of the very first integrated and bilingual school in the entire state of Florida. The Strand Theater is here on our left. Just the facade of the building is Rococo-style architecture. The interior of the building was gutted many, many years ago. Now, 2 blocks to our right is the main entrance to the Navy base. They closed part of that base up in 1970. It caused a lot of hardship here on the island. A lot of the businesses failed. They were all boarded up and bankrupt. In 1976, a group of local business people got together and started fixing things up, and they began with this next block of Duval Street, the 600 block. That's why the trees in this area are so much taller than the ones in other parts. They were planted about 5 years before the others. Now, they started fixing up storefronts as well. They began with a building ahead of us, and on the right, the Guildhall Gallery moved in when it was completed, and been there ever since. We suffered a real bad setback, though. In 1995, we lost 5 historic structures on the left side of the train in the third worst fire in our city's history. It was thanks to the incredible efforts of the Key West Fire Department and firefighters of the Naval Air Station that prevented even further damage here on the island. And we're crossing Angela Street. This was the outskirts of the island when we were incorporated back in 1828. About the only thing that was out here was mangroves and mosquitoes, regardless of what the Chamber of Commerce might want you to think. Now, Robert Ripley of Ripley's Believe It or Not claims that Duval Street was the longest main street in the country. And you got to be wondering what he's talking about. This street is only 14 blocks long, but it does run from the Gulf of Mexico behind us to the Atlantic Ocean in front of us. It should take you 20 minutes to make that little hike. I don't know a single soul who's ever been able to do it. I've been practicing that maneuver for years, and my best time is like 2 hours and 41 minutes. I get distracted pretty easy. Now this is Petronia Street. We can sometimes get down this street, but not all the time because they use it for a parking lot sometimes. This is the main entrance to the Bahama Village area of the island. It was settled by people who came to Key West from the islands of the Bahamas in the late 1800s. They came as merchants, shrimpers, spongers, many of their descendants lived down at this end of the island yet today. That would be a fool on a scooter, too, by the way, in case you weren't clear of that concept. And it's like, you know, they got this bad, like, I just like the baddest thing in the whole world. You know, it's like a 75cc dinky little scooter. Now, across the street is the Bahama Village Market, and if you are looking for that perfect straw hat, that is absolutely the place to start your search. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to go this direction was because we have another chance to take a look at the Hemingway house. And I know some of you were trying to get photographs earlier, and it just wasn't working out because of the traffic and also this big wall, which I really don't know what to do with the wall. But what I can do is when I can get down that little street and then make another pass down through here. And there is a nice view of the Hemingway house here on our left. On our right is the lighthouse. I told you that the lightkeeper lost her job. They thought she was a Confederate sympathizer. She lost her children in the collapse of the original lighthouse, and her husband was yellow fever. He'd been the keeper of the St. Key Light. The Coast Guard honored her by naming one of their ships the Barbara Maberly.